Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to House of Footy. It's your boy Ray, and alongside me is Mac.
What's good?
And welcome back, Gio.
What's good, guys?
Guys, we are halfway through the season, and I think it's time to look back at some of our preseason previews to evaluate how we did so far and if there's anything we would change potentially. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow us on our social medias, both on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is at @houseof_footy. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to us. We are on both Spotify and YouTube. And lastly, feel free to get in touch with us via email. We love hearing from you guys, and we want you guys getting involved. Our email is houseoffooty@hotmail.com. But yeah, let's get straight into sort of like our preseason predictions. And obviously, we're going to start off with... let's look back. We've listed out our predictions here. We have some shockers, going to have to be honest with you guys. And so... because of that fact, we're going to start off with some of the predictions that we could change if we could. And I'm going to go ahead first here, guys. My very first prediction that I would change if I had the chance to, I put Liverpool as champions. You guys can laugh now.
Very good.
If you would like. Obviously, time of recording, let me find where Liverpool are. Liverpool are 9th placed in the Premier League. Nowhere close to Arsenal, who are first. I think 21 points off the top of the table at the moment. So I guess it goes without saying I was very off for that. What did you guys think? Gio, what do you think about that?
In terms of your pick for the championship, then no, I thought it was, initially I think we all thought that solid pick. You can't doubt Klopp too much, but they have been, in terms of Liverpool standards, horrible.
Right.
It's tough to see. They're making a lot of buys. We had high expectations for maybe Darwin Nunez. A lot of people early on Twitter touted him as, the new Lukaku, who has a very poor first touch. Lukaku probably personally sent him a pair of Tims as well. But yeah, no, tough pick, very tough pick. But I guess it'll tie into one of my picks as well. But Mac, what did you think?
So I do want to point out, in terms of that being your first mulligan, Ray, in terms of one thing that you wish you could take back. But to be fair, though, you only have one level of, I guess, shame or egg on your face comparison to Gio and I, because you had them win the title, which, of course, if you look at the table now, is obscene. But Gio and I both had them second. So it wasn't like we were miles off of you, so we can't talk too much shit, but we can just egg you a little bit there. But yeah, you fucked up a little bit more than we did.
Okay, yeah. So that being said, that's my pick. Mac, let's hear your first, I guess, do-over, or what was that term you found for us?
Mulligan. In golf, basically, I think is if you swing, Gio, correct me if I'm wrong, and you don't like what you do, and you take a backseat, so you hit the rewind.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think this is quite easy in terms of, I feel like, my most egregious take. No, that's not fair. I take that back. One thing that I feel like is just plain and simple, and I try to be a little bit too spicy, which was for most assists through the entire Premier League. I picked Kulusevski, because assists per game, he's still on that level. But why did I not pick Kevin De Bruyne? Did I eat something wrong for breakfast that day? Did I suddenly have the wrong North London jersey in my closet? I don't know. But overall, because as of time of recording, he has 5 assists through the Premier League season, if I recall correctly, and KDB is already at 11. So there is still quite a gap if you were to overcome it. So I thought I was trying to be a little cool, but I probably had too much little sauce for that pick.
To be fair, none of us had KDB, so you were not correct, Mac, but none of us had the current leader, so at least we're not that far off. What did you think, Gio?
Shocking, because we picked, I think we all kind of had the same top goal scorer, and
right.
Erling Braut Haaland. But why was that not the obvious pick to pick KDB? You have Haaland being the top goal scorer. It only makes sense for KDB to be the top assist man. And yeah, that's very much so the case. we were probably sleeping. We obviously had higher hopes for different players. My pick was a little biased. It was Bruno. But yeah, what can I say? Another Man City man on top.
I do have to say though, Gio, you were thus far this season, you were the most wrong because Kulusevski and Odegaard both have more assists than Bruno. So I'm going to take that as my saving grace, and that's it.
More assists than Bruno. That's correct.
Yes.
Bruno is at 4 currently. Odegaard and Kulusevski are at 5 each, and then obviously Kevin De Bruyne is at 11. But Gio, let's hear your, I guess, do-over pick if you had the chance.
Do-over. I think I mentioned this earlier when you're talking about Liverpool being, the champions of the league. I picked a certain someone who goes by the name of Mo Salah to be the player of the year. That was miles off it. Horrible, in my humble opinion. Who would I pick now? I think there's a fair amount of choices. I think I don't want to pick Max guy in Martin Odegaard. But I can't not pick either one of those two guys that you picked. Ray, you picked Haaland.
Right.
I picked Odegaard, but I'm gonna have to side with Haaland on this one. Already 3 hat-tricks in, 25 goals, first year in the Prem. I know Odegaard's playing great. He is playing player of the season type football. He is carrying Arsenal. He's carrying a lot of weight at Arsenal, being a very young captain, but for a player to dominate in that sense, to put goals in the back of the net, that's a different level. So I will side with Erling Haaland on this one.
So, Gio, to be able to jump in there, I want you to read names. If the season, in terms of odds for player of the season, I want to read you some names that have better or the same odds than Mohamed Salah. Okay, to win that award. Gundogan, Mitrovic,
Okay.
Alisson, Almiron, Matoma, Granit Get-the-Strap Xhaka, Christian Eriksen, and this is all on Bet365, all have better odds or the same odds to win player of the season as Mohamed Salah. So I don't feel like there's been a larger drop-off in quality from where we would have expected going into the season to where they are right now in those rankings. Because I'm just saying, if you're on the same list as Jack Grealish, who's, in the same odds to win something, those are not great odds.
No, for sure not.
No, I think my mistake here was obviously believing in the Liverpool player, which was the big mistake here. The grand scheme of things, that was what was wrong. Believing in the Liverpool player who obviously got overpaid and their structure is now broken, which is a good thing for me as a non-Liverpool fan. We love to see it.
Yeah, and obviously that means we were just talking about it before we started recording. Will that mean for Liverpool going forward in terms of recruitment? It kind of throws things off, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I guess on that note, same category, Gio, player of the season. I'll have to double down here and go with Haaland. Like you just said,
just to preface what you're trying to say is this is something that you would not want to change. If you had an option, would double down and you love your pick and you would want to stick by it, right?
Exactly. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. Haaland has been killing it so far, and that run of form, and depending on how things end up with the season, I just feel like he is the standout player for City. Whereas for Arsenal, there are a couple of players that you can argue could win. Well, I think 2 players, Odegaard and Saka, but it could be that they split those votes and then Haaland ends up winning it because he's that standout. Just my thought, but what do you think about that, Mac?
I think that's fair. Right now, Erling Haaland is on Bet365 the favorite to win PFA Player of the Year. But for me, I'm going to actually pick the same award for you, and who would I double down on is my pick that you both, I want to recall on this podcast, when we did this podcast, roasted, laughed, and mocked my pick of Martin Odegaard. And I agree, I did somewhat myself and wanted to be a little bit different. But right now, he's the odds on to finish second, with the second highest odds. And funny enough, in the top 10 odds, there are 4 Arsenal players, 3 Manchester United players and 2 City players in the top 10 odds. So I wanted to play that little game. Gio, are you going to hit this category later, or just before I guess want to be able to go through those odds?
No, I'm not going to.
Okay, so it's in this order. It's Haaland, Odegaard, Saka. 4th is KDB. So, but 5 and 6 are Rashford and Casemiro. Harry Kane is 7th. Then Martinelli, Eriksen, and Xhaka. Those are the top 10 in terms of favorite odds to win the PFA Player of the Year, which I don't think is egregious. But my point being is why I want to double down on Odegaard is that if Arsenal win the title, which as of right now they are the odds-on favorite to win the title on Bet365, I feel like there is a greater chance for Odegaard to win it. I think there is still, of course, a chance if Arsenal win it that Haaland just has some scoring tally and smashes all these records. But I feel like the expectations in a way are against him. Is that a lot of people, as the hype goes throughout the season, were expecting him to continue to do this, and that may start to drop off. Whereas Odegaard, Arsenal winning the title is so far a surprise from the beginning of the season, which might take him over the edge. And if I bought the stock when it was a penny stock, and right now it's giving me some money, and I'm going to keep doubling down. If I could triple down, I would. But for me, I'm going to stick with the Martin Odegaard Player of the Season.
I like that.
Hey, I like that.
We like to see that. We like to see that.
Stick by your guns.
100%.
Okay.
On that note, Gio, lastly, give us something that you would like to stick with. If you could double down on something, one of the categories.
Most clean sheets. I will double down on Aaron Ramsdale. He has done me so well. I think that's probably my best pick. What is he? Second right now?
He's second.
Behind Nick Pope, I believe.
Yep.
Hey, if these guys are gonna win, I can definitely see some more clean sheets. So, hey, who better else to double down on than Aaron Ramsdale? A surprising guy on the list is actually David De Gea. Shocking to have 8 clean sheets as well. But no, I think again, just to kind of repeat myself, if Arsenal are gonna win this title, they're gonna tighten things up. They might change a little bit of their football depending on the team they're playing. Squeeze out some 2-0 wins, 1-0 wins, and and the guy between the sticks is gonna be Aaron Ramsdale. So I will double down on Aaron Ramsdale very easily on that one.
I like that. Matt, give me your thoughts about that.
He's 100% trolling. That pick was not a serious pick from the beginning. He was trolling from day one. My guy's looking at. Tell me right now. So let's go through his defenders in front of him. Before the season, did you like Gabriel? No. Did you like Zinchenko? No. Did you like questioning my pick? No. I'm just saying. You're trolling. You're like, it's like a reverse jinx what you're trying to do. Like it's like, I'm gonna pick him because I want them to go to shambles. Hey, fair, not completely unfair. I understand, but I'm not upset that it's worked out this well. But at the same time, I'm kind of upset because every single time Arsenal win and there's a clean sheet, that's Gio just drops in that chair. I'm like, fuck, because Ederson is right behind him, behind him.
Ederson is on 8th, tied with David De Gea, and I guess just to finish off this part of the podcast, we're going to have to continue the slander for Liverpool. My pick was Alisson, and he has fewer clean sheets than Danny Ward, who plays for Leicester City. So that just shows you guys how Liverpool's season's gone. He has 5 Alisson, and Danny Ward has 6 clean sheets. So, hey man, half the season's gone. We'll see how the remaining season goes for those categories, but let's take a quick break here, guys, and then we'll be back reviewing some of our preseason predictions. So stay with us. Welcome back to House of Footy, guys. We are going to continue our podcast just reviewing our preseason predictions. And similar to that first part that we just had, we're going to go with something that if we could change, we would definitely change. And so, Mac, take it away.
So my second mulligan, something that I want to replace, I'm going to take a dig at myself. But I'm actually going to take a further dig at the both of you. So one thing I would want to change, and I wish I could change, is I had Chelsea in 5th place. Both of you had Chelsea in 3rd. As of the time of recording, Chelsea are in 8th, if I remember correctly.
10th.
They're 10th. Okay, so they're even worse. It's absolutely horrible. They're a team in shambles. You could have seen it coming from the beginning of the season in regards to Todd Bowley coming in. You have a foreign owner coming in, trying to be able to make North American changes to a European sport, not really understanding the territory around him, firing a coach that is of everything within less than a season and a half prior to that, had won them the Champions League, and thought that was a good idea to bring in Ronaldo versus Aubameyang, but at the same time should have just realized that neither was a great option. So overall, you could definitely have seen the writing on the wall there. As of time of recording, they're actually not even in the top 7 for odds-on favorites to make the top 4 into next season. Both Brighton are tied on them in terms of odds to be able to make the top 4. So it's not great. It's not great right now for Chelsea. And if you look at it going forward, it's not going to be great for the rest of the season. So one thing I regret is not picking Chelsea to go down further on the table, because I actually had predicted Manchester United to be the team outside the top 6. So that would be my correction. I thought Man U would be where Chelsea was, but Man U, of course, under Ten Hag, had a lot shaped up. A lot of things have changed. Got some bad players at the door. Things have gotten better. So overall, positive there. But I should have been more low on Chelsea.
Okay. I mean, I think we were all pretty wrong on that, like you've rightly pointed out. Chelsea haven't had, I guess, what a lot of Chelsea fans would have envisioned. And so, yeah, that's a great pick. I guess, Gio, do you have something along the lines of that, or something different in terms of what you would change if you could?
What I would change is my pick for the assist winner. My new assist winner. I love gambling. I don't gamble, but I love it. So I will actually change it from one Man U player to another Man U player.
Oh, he's strong.
I will put my money on Christian Eriksen to come back and take the assist title. Very simple. I just think he's just playing well. Rashford's playing well. It's easy to just pass the ball to him and sort of get a goal from him. But I think Eriksen puts himself in very good situations to get a lot of assists. There's a reason why he's at least second on the list, and not further down, competing in the Premier League. So I'll change it from Bruno to Christian Eriksen.
Ooh, hey. Very, very brave pick, I would say. Surprising though.
Yes.
Christian Eriksen, like you mentioned, he is second, 7 assists right now. Second to obviously Kevin De Bruyne, who has 11.
Tied for second, to clarify, with Saka. He's tied for second.
Fair. I could see it. Eriksen, obviously, we there were questions about how he would fit within this Man U team, and
I believed.
Right, that's fair. So prove us wrong, but what do you think, Mac?
I think you said that you could see it happening. Gio said they could see it happening. I think you both need to visit the optometrist, or I am just like living in a different world, because it's KDB. It's going to be KDB. We all know it's going to be KDB. Christian Eriksen's a great shout. He's definitely overperformed my expectations coming into the Manchester United midfield for sure. And given his role that he's playing, his partnership alongside Casemiro, the interesting part for me, I guess, would be is as soon as he stops giving the ball and Rashford scores worldies, how does he get those assists? That's more my question. Where did the goals come from if Rashford's not turning everything into gold? Unless that keeps happening, which would be great. But it will be interesting to see if it's a run of form for him or kind of his current standard that he's going to be keeping. But unless of course Weghorst gets a bunch of free header goals from Eriksen crosses, that could be it. I don't know. But aggressive shout. You love the controversy, but it's KDB.
Yeah, I would have to say KDB as well, because 4 is quite a big number to overtake, given the fact that Haaland plays on that team. He's definitely going to get at least a couple more, but I love the shout.
Great shout.
On that note, I'm going to go with what I would change for my pick would be, and I think this might be your category next, Mac, is my dark horse team to watch. I had picked Leeds. They looked decent at the beginning of the season, but it looks like things haven't clicked for them. And currently, even though they are not in the relegation battle as of yet, they're not too far from it. And I thought they would be around mid-table, sort of where you would expect like Aston Villa or Chelsea or Liverpool would be are right now. That's where I thought they would be, given the fact that he would have implemented a system that I think very much fits the way a lot of Premier League teams play. And so I was wrong for that. Hopefully they can still push and try to finish up in mid-table, but for me, that one has been really bad compared to what you both picked. With Gio, you picked West Ham, and Mac, you picked Newcastle. So I guess, Mac, let me hear your second, I guess your pick to double down on.
You 100% teased it right there. My pick would definitely be Newcastle. I would double, triple, quadruple down. I'm so happy with how well they performed defensively. As I kind of projected going into the season, they have been a unit. That back four of Trippier, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, and Sven Botman have been impressive. Botman, arguably, is probably the most underlooked signing that's come in and had an impact this season, because everyone's looking at the Hollands, the Jesuses, players like that had impact on the respective clubs. But Botman's made their back four much more secure, and I've been able to apply coverage to Trippier when he does go on his adventurous runs, right? The surprise, I guess, that I didn't see coming is the first half Almagad season that we have been seeing from him. Looking like a phenomenal player. Mars wished that he could be Almagad. Am I right, Jack Grealish? But overall, they've definitely been a dark horse. I had them finishing sixth. So that even though I thought I had kind of dark horse, high levels opinions of what they could be, they've taken even a step further. So kudos to them. But the interesting part for me for the rest of the season, if they were to change, is can they keep scoring enough goals to pick up enough points to win? Because right now they have 9 draws, and they have, in terms of goals for, only 33, which is not crazy low in terms of the respective teams around them. But against those bigger teams, you can't always expect to win the game 1-0. They'll need to figure out ways to score 2-3 goals a game, which they're struggling with. So if they pick up somebody in January, another striker potentially, at time of recording, there has been rumors that they might be linked to a couple different players. If they can cross the line, they can cement themselves in the top 4, which definitely would make them the big surprise from this year.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. I think without doubt they've been the most standout dark horse team to watch, and so let's see how they finish off the season. Gio, what is your pick to double down on for the remainder of the season?
My double down would be one of the teams that's going to get relegated, and that is Everton. Everton is going to be relegated. There's no doubt in my mind that they are going down to the championship. They'll probably dominate the championship, but with that being said, they'll be playing in their next season. There's already rumors of Anthony Gordon, getting interest from a lot of Premier League sides who are interested in signing him. So, with the loss of him, amongst other players, it's going to be a real struggle. And with that being said, I can't see Calvert-Lewin staying much longer as well. Whether it be now, I doubt it'd be now in the January window, but it's going to be more so in the summer window. We'll see what Premier League side's interested in him. But yeah, no, I can't see them really digging themselves out of that hole that they've created for themselves. So yeah, I will double down on that. I'd be shocked if they can get out of there or get anywhere close to out of there. Everton will be in the championship next year, boys.
You don't think Bielsa can save them?
I think he will bring them quicker to the championship.
On that note, it's very interesting to note that Anthony Gordon, and I saw this on online today, if you're an Everton fan, you feel really, really shitty about your club. They had a deal for Danjuma that was essentially over the line, and then he joined Spurs. Anthony Gordon and Onana apparently were absent from training, trying to force moves away. Arguably, believe their 2 best players or two most influential players. And they're looking at coaches such as Sam Allardyce and Sean Dyche to hopefully keep them up, which you really can't offer them long-term deals because of the level of club that you are, but you can't also appoint someone long-term because you might not be in the league. So yeah, it's bad for them. Just wanted to note as well, we thought Frank Lampard was going to be the first manager to go. It wasn't. It was Scott Parker following his...
Shocker, by the way. Shocker, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Lampard, at least at the time of recording, he is now gone. I think he was gone earlier this week. But hey, at least we got it partly right. He has been sacked by Everton now, and we'll see how Everton does for the remainder of the season. But I guess my pick to double down on, and you know what? I think you guys will probably... Well, I think, Gio, you like it a lot. Mac, you might not like it as much because of the next fixture for Man City. Spurs. I had Spurs at 6th in the table to finish off, and I wasn't surprised with how they've gone so far. They had a great start to the season, but it's since tailed off on and off results here and there, and given Conte's record to not being the best at sort of changing things and the way he's been reacting in press conferences, I think they are still due for that downfall. Son hasn't had, obviously, the season that we are accustomed to see him having. Harry Kane, could this be the last season? They are not at the point that Everton are in, but in a questionable period where you don't know what's going to happen with them, especially with Harry Kane being out of contract soon. Do they want to switch the manager now or wait until the end of the season? Hugo Lloris, who had obviously questions about him and his age, so they might finish 6th, but they could potentially finish lower than that. So that's my pick that I would double down for. But I'm not sure, Mac, if you would like to hear that, given that Spurs are facing City in the next game. But I know Gio will definitely enjoy seeing Spurs out of Europe. What do you think, guys?
Gio, go ahead. Speak
look,
your joy, and I'll ruin it.
Oh, okay. I wanted to save the best for last. But look, Spurs out of Europe, Spurs in shambles, 3-point lane, whatever you want to call it. I love it. I love it. You know, where does Harry Kane go from here? Where does Son go from here? You know, do they splash the cash to keep them and struggle some more and dig themselves into a bigger financial hole? Wouldn't be mad at that either. You know, there are other strikers in the world that Man U can go and buy. It doesn't have to be Harry Kane, but Harry Kane would be nice. But yeah, I just love chaos. I love where it's trending. And couldn't be happier. And I hope City this time round are able to take care of business and not let Kane have a fantastic game as he's historically had against them. So yeah, I need that to be a brutal game. A brutal game where Spurs fan cringe and go off on Twitter after about how poor they played.
Could happen.
It's very difficult to find a Spurs fan on Twitter, so I don't know where you look in some deep delves that you're searching to find those, but if you do, send them over. I'd love to see the chaos there. In terms of that matchup, of course, I would love to see Man City drop points. That would be phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I don't think Arsenal need Man City to drop points because as long as they keep winning, they're not stressed, right? They everything's calm, So why do we have to worry about them? We just gotta win, and that's all that should matter. So I could not give less of a fuck about what Tottenham do.
Love it. Love to hear it. Obviously, we'll be watching the review on those games and predictions, but don't worry, we are going to take one last break here, and then we'll be back with a special section for you guys, so stay with us. Welcome back to House of Footy, guys. We are going to finish off this podcast for today, just going over a best game / best result or notable result of the season so far. We are halfway through the season, so not all the games to pick out from, but I'm going to pick one from my team, Liverpool. It was a big game for us. We weren't having the best start to the season, and it was going to be against champions Manchester City at home, which as a Liverpool fan, this is a big game at any calendar, given the fact that you've been so close with the Manchester City, the champions from last year, and battling it out. Liverpool weren't in the best of form going into the game, and so I actually put some money on Man City to score first and win the game. That didn't turn out because Liverpool actually won the game. So, firstly, I actually put money on Haaland to score because Liverpool were conceding on every game, first on every game that they played so far, and Haaland was on that run of form where he was just scoring nonstop, and it just made sense. So I went and did that. Shouldn't have doubted my boys. Mo Salah came through with a goal, and I thought, hey, boys, we're back. This is the start of the Liverpool season, and obviously it hasn't gone that way. So it gave me a false sense of hope. But that was a game that stood out for me because even though things weren't going that well, and in this game, I think a goal by Man City got called back controversially, I think, through VAR. I thought this would be the start, but it wasn't. But Liverpool players, hopefully, they can find that form again, find that type of performance, and push on to hopefully finish in the top 6, top 4. We'll see. But Mac, I guess let me hear your result or game of the season so far.
So first, I want to say shame on you. That's a horrible pick because Liverpool never had a shot no matter what. Hey, go ahead. I'm just kidding. But no, for me, I'll take a list a little bit differently. It's not game of the season. It's not really kind of a major result. Looking back on the table, I think it might have potentially very little impact depending on how the rest of the season goes. And I don't feel like it impacted or hindered either of these teams as much. But I'm going to go back to the earlier than even your game, right? I'm going to go back to match week 6. It's very early on in the season. At this point, Arsenal were facing Manchester United and ended up losing 3-1. At this point of the season, it very much looked like Manchester United were in a floundering position, having lost 2 of their first opening 5 games. They didn't beat Liverpool. A lot of people kind of called that as luck, and then they went back-to-back 3-0 results. 1-0 results against bottom end of the table teams Southampton and Leicester at those moments. So they didn't look like in good form. And in between those results was a 6-3 loss to Manchester City. So you can still see at that point, the team wasn't doing so well. And yet Arsenal come in at that moment, potentially on a great run of form, and lost 3-1. Arguably, they were the better team in that day. I would argue that, and they should have won that game. But the reason why, for me, this is a very interesting result, let's see if even Arsenal tie that game. Arsenal, to then the point of the season, would be invincible. And then the conversation around, is this season's Arsenal better than the Invincibles back in 2004, if I remember correctly, would have much more merit to stand on and much more of a leg to stand on. Because as of time of recording, in terms of the amount of games that they had played, they have more points. So statistically, yes, you could say they're better because they have more points. But the idea that they haven't lost a game, that mystique, still kind of gives, I guess, a lot of people that, nostalgia feel. But for me, I think the reason why that's important is not as much for this individual season, because I don't think that took Arsenal into a downturn, and I don't think that was the result that propelled Manchester United to where they are. But I think depending on how the rest of the season goes and the conversations that are happening around right now, that result has very much a large impact on how we're discussing Arsenal right now, and the legacy they could have if they continue to go on and win the title this year.
Right, for sure. A question for you, Mac. This is obviously hypothetical, but just wanted to hear your, thought out. Do you think the current Arsenal team have a chance to be on the same conversation as that invincible Arsenal team? Would you take that loss back, saying, let's say, Man U and Arsenal tied that game, but Arsenal don't win the title? Would you take that result to sort of have that comparison?
But then Arsenal stay invincible through the rest of the season, but they still finish second.
Invincible, and then finish second. You
want to win the title. You want to win the title. That's the main point of it. It's like, it's very similar to like the comparison to basketball, the Golden State 73-9. It means nothing without chip, right? Where it's great. You're going to have a banner that's phenomenal. You can look back, that was a great time. That was a great season. But you didn't win. That's what it comes down to. That's the most important part of the season. To close out the title is the most vital thing. The interesting part is there's a lot, and I think the conversation around the Invincibles is very confusing because there were so many ties to that season for them. It wasn't as if they were smashing teams week in, week out. They drew a lot of games. That's still not to say that's not a great achievement, but I don't think that's the greatest achievement definitely in the Premier League history. But I wouldn't take it back because the title is still the key thing here.
Of course.
If Arsenal are in the offseason are looking to sign new players, if they just came off invincible, that's not as alluring, I would say, as they just came off winning the title, in my opinion. So I feel like the title, day in, day out, is the thing you want to go for.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And so, Gio, do you want to give us your, I guess, game or result of the season so far?
Yes, and it just happened a couple of weeks ago. If you guys couldn't guess it, it is the Manchester Derby. Honestly, it was just, it's not anything you expect, obviously, with Man City being as strong as they are. And, they kind of had, like, little ups and downs of the season where, they haven't gotten the results that we'd expect. So you kind of expect a very hungry Man City side. So you kind of almost expect another thrashing that they got early on in the season. But that wasn't the case. Man U were there to compete. Obviously, the possession stats didn't show for it or anything like that. But, shots on target, shots on goal were very important as, I think if I remember correctly, just off the top of my head, Man City had 5 shots total in the game and 1 on target. So, and that was their only goal. So, they did well. They were very sound. And for them to come back and win at home and, to see all the snippets against, with Casemiro yelling, screaming in fans' faces and hugging them, you love to see it. You love the passion. And, it's just being ahead of schedule too, which also helps with that being, ingrained in my head right now. So yeah, no, I definitely love that game. A very important game for just the morale of the team going forward.
That I think goes without saying, but also leading up to that game, that run of form that Man U had, it was, I think obviously the same weekend Arsenal played Spurs, and I was like, hey, you know what? I think this game is more interesting because Man City were, I think, on the back of a loss or two recently before that game, and Man U were just on a winning streak since the World Cup. So that, I think, had more riding to it and it was more entertaining. Whereas I think the Arsenal Spurs game, I thought it was pretty much set in stone who was going to win. So definitely, as a Man U fan, I would see that as a big result, given the fact that recent times against Man City, it hasn't been the greatest, and you can sort of see the tactical flexibility that Erik ten Hag can deploy with his team and the improvement so far. I guess, Gio, just lastly before maybe Matt can have a say on that game, would you take Spurs winning the title and Man U finishing second at this point in the season?
Spurs winning the title and Man U finishing second? No, because, again, what Max said, it has to be the title. They're already in the Champions League spot, so that doesn't really matter because you get a Champions League spot in either position, 2 or 3, 2, 3, or 4, for that matter. If it's not the title, then Spurs definitely can't add their first one to the trophy case on my end. So definitely not. I'll take where we're at right now very happily.
And if Spurs win the title, then they don't get Kane. So that doesn't help them. That doesn't get them. That doesn't help his team enough for them to be able to take that level of punishment. So I 100% understand where Gio's coming from. Same page there.
Definitely.
I think the key part about that performance is that it buys Erik ten Hag goodwill with the fans, where that win means much more than just those 3 points, because things are going very well for Manchester United, but there are going to be dips in form. I would argue, and I think a majority of Manchester United fans would agree, this isn't Erik ten Hag's dream starting 11, his dream playing style for how he would want to coach his team. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It's not going to be kind of a straight incline up where it's always going to be all up on the positive. So having a performance like this against a rival gives him that goodwill, ingratiates himself more to the fans, where when those patches of form, bad forms do happen, they're not calling for his head. So I think that's the biggest part of that performance, more so even than the 3 points, because like I would agree with Gio, is Manchester United are already ahead of schedule. and I could see them going into next year with fewer points, or maybe not in a high of a table position, but being a better overall team. I think that very much could potentially happening. But so I think that performance is more of a statement win for, you know what, hey, you can believe in what I'm doing here, even though you know there's a lot of things that I'm dealing with that are not the greatest right now. I can still pull out a win like this, so have some faith. So I think that performance and that result means a lot to that club and his team.
And it obviously throws a curveball at us in terms of the title race. City dropping points, Arsenal are where they are now. And so that really tees it up for us. Very, very exciting end to the season, boys. So we can't wait to catch you guys up on those events. So this concludes our podcast for today. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to us on our social medias. Our handle is @house_of_footy. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general banter, feel free to get in touch with us via email as well, houseoffooty@hotmail.com. The next time you'll hear from us will be Tuesday when we bring you guys a special Evergreen episode. So keep your ears out for that. On that note, welcome back, Gio. Thank you.
Appreciate that, boys. Manny's going to finish a third at the end of the season.
Mac, thank you.
Why are we talking about Alma God? We should talk about Oda God.
Ooh. Right. Thank you,
I like
Mac.
that. I like that a lot.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back soon.